Don't Depend on Daddy is an unfiltered safe space, empowering young professionals to build independence in their 20s and beyond, whether it be personal, professional, or financial. Regardless of your age, relationship status, or job title, the most consistent person in your life is you. So join me and let's build our independence together. Enjoy! Hello, and welcome back to Don't Depend on Daddy, the podcast. My name is Michela. I am your host. And this week, I am going to be sharing tips and habits and rules that I've implemented into my life in order to underconsume. So underconsumption has been a little bit of a trend on TikTok. I think it's, the obvious opposite of overconsumption. I'm excited about this because this is a topic that I feel really passionate about and also something that I'm going to be focused on going into 2025. But before we get into the juice of the episode, I'm first going to run through some quick little housekeeping and then I'll go over like a little miniature update. I think next week's episode is going to be the full, like, what's going on, how have things been sort of podcast catch-up episode, and I'll do a little Q&A too. But first things first, as you may know, if you follow me on Instagram, the Personal Finance Dashboard is currently on sale for Black Friday. It's going to be on sale for just a couple more days. So if you are interested in getting the PFD for $15 off, you can use the code BFSALE2024. All of that information will be in the show notes. And if you are listening to this outside of like the Black Friday window, you can always use the code podcast1 for $10 off the Personal Finance Dashboard. The Personal Finance Dashboard is my signature money management and budgeting tool. It's the tool that I've used for 5 years now, which is crazy, to like manage and track my money and make all of my, financial decisions. And I'm super excited about the sale. This version of the template that is currently available is the 6.0. So it's the 6th iteration of the Personal Finance Dashboard. This year we added in some, and by we, I mean me, some streamlined updates just for like data entry and stuff. Last year was the big overhaul in terms of insights and expanding upon the dashboard. And this year, the goal was to just optimize and clean things up to make usability of the template a lot easier. So there aren't too many like major changes, but they are all changes that will help make using the template easier, faster, and I think just overarchingly better. The other Black Friday update that I want to share is the Personal Finance Kickstart Kit, which is a bundle of my products that I bring back every year. Is going to be going live this Friday. So it'll be Friday, November 29th, the day after Thanksgiving. This is a super highly discounted bundle. It's the Personal Finance Dashboard, my signature course, the 4-week financial plan, and then the Increase Your Income Masterclass, which I'm really excited about because that's a masterclass. It's a pre-recorded class, but it's basically a whole training on how you can increase your income both inside and outside of the office. So if you're looking to like get a raise or get a promotion next year, and or you are trying to start a side hustle and aren't really sure where to start, that masterclass is going to help you kick things off and just figure out your game plan for doing that. There's lots of like tactical stuff in there. And then the 4-week financial plan is a 4-week long self-paced course that will help you, take a financial snapshot and audit your finances in detail, set your financial goals, build your budget, and create routines around your finances. It is alongside the Personal Finance Dashboard, but when you buy the Personal Finance Dashboard, you're just getting the template and like the setup videos. There is nowhere in there where I'm teaching you how to like set your goals or what the best way is to create a budget. It's really just going through how to put numbers and like data entry into the template. The 4-week financial plan is that guide for really utilizing any tool, but obviously like I use the PFD in those videos because that's the tool that I use, utilizing your tool of choice to actually put together like a more concrete annual plan and longer term plan for your finances. So if you're interested in that bundle, make sure you're tuned into my Instagram because that's where all of the details are going to be. And like I said, it's going to be super highly discounted. It's the lowest price you can get on the PFD and the lowest price you can get on that 4-week financial plan. And there is an option if you already have the PFD to also take advantage of the lower pricing on the other two products bundled together. So if you've already purchased the PFD, you can still get the other two items on this highly discounted price. Anyways, let's get into a quick little update on my life. So if you are watching this from or on YouTube, you can probably see I am in a different place. I am now in my bedroom on Cape Cod, and I am going to be here through the end of December. So, fun, exciting update. I did get approved for an apartment in Chicago, so I'm super excited. We've got that all squared away. I feel like I can finally breathe again. And that lease is going to start. It technically starts on December 22nd, but it will, like, I'm not going to move until after Christmas. And I'm super excited about it. But until then, I am here on the Cape and I'm sitting at my little desk, and this is going to be my workspace for the next month. The last few weeks have been really overwhelming for me, just in terms of not only moving out and like having this big, huge life change, but also being a digital nomad of sorts, because I moved out of my apartment. I spent a week at my friend Ellen's house. Then I spent a week at my sister's house in Washington, which is where I was last week when I recorded this podcast episode, or like the episode that went up last week. And then the week after that, so last like Wednesday up until yesterday, which is Monday, I was in Chicago finding an apartment. I stayed in a Blue Ground apartment, which if you have not tried a Blue Ground, or you're in a similar situation to me where you're looking for like a shorter term stay somewhere, whether it be, I think they do half months now, but you'll have to go on their website to see like a half month or a full month, or, 6 months or just a few months in general. Blue Ground is really great, and they're not paying me to say this at all. I just really, really like it. It's a great, just like in between sort of like lease bridger option, because all my stuff is in storage, and staying in a hotel for more than a night or two is disruptive, in my opinion. So with the Blue Ground, you stay in like a real apartment. There's a kitchen, there's towels, everything's all stocked up for you. It's fantastic. So yeah, that's where I've been the last couple of weeks. And now we're getting back into some regularly scheduled programming. It's amazing, like the mental load that you carry when you are out of your routine, because I feel like I can work from pretty much anywhere in terms of like getting things done and focusing, but I have just had a hard time with all of the movement and change and really being able to like mentally lock in. And then I also had like a lot of sponsorships that have been going up the last few weeks, and coordinating with my management on all of that. I'm actually also hiring someone next year to help me with some affiliate stuff, which I'm really excited about. And it's just been a lot going on at a very busy period of time in my life. So everything's slowing down. This week is the best because I'm recording this on the day before it's going live. But this week has been the best because since it's a holiday week, I'm like not really getting any emails, which is just so needed. And then next week we'll be hitting the ground running again through the end of the year, because I have a lot of stuff that I want to get going and get live in December so that I can help you put together your plans for 2025. Anyways, all that to say, we are going to get into today's episode, which is all about underconsumption and tips and tricks and things that I do to underconsume. So overconsumption obviously is something that has been, I think, a hot topic over the last few years, just with the change in social media trends and how we consume and how we buy. And I think something that I've noticed, and I know a lot of you listening to this have also noticed as well, is influencers and just influencer culture has really pushed this idea of buying and buying and buying and having so many things, and there's PR and there's free stuff, and it's just, I think, gotten a little out of hand to the point where it's almost gross to see how much people have, not just influencers, but also just people, regular people who are not being sent all of this stuff, they're buying it. And it's eroded the quality of items and how we perceive quality, I think. And so when you think about like fast fashion and clothing quality and having dupes and backups and skincare drawers and makeup drawers and just all this stuff, it is really overwhelming in my opinion. And it's something that I personally don't subscribe to and also just don't want at all. I think this really came to my attention when I did move out of my apartment, because I would consider myself like, I'm not a minimalist, but I'm a fairly minimal person. Like, I really don't have a lot of things. I have a capsule wardrobe, so I'm not buying like lots and lots of clothes. I'm really thoughtful about the amount of like kitchenwares that I have and decor and stuff. Like, I just don't want to have a lot of stuff. And I really didn't think that I had a lot of stuff. And then when I moved out of my apartment, I was honestly like so shocked and surprised at how much stuff I really did have. It's amazing when you put things into boxes and you take things out of cabinets, how much stuff you have. It actually like really freaked me out. And so it was at that moment where I was like, oh my God, I have to downsize everything. And I wasn't planning actually to like get a smaller apartment. I really wanted to have an apartment in Chicago that was the same size as my apartment in LA, just because I really liked the size of that apartment because they had space and separate space for like my living room, my workspace, a dining room, everything was separate. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the apartment that I ended up choosing in Chicago is a little bit smaller. I think it's about 75 square feet less. So the only thing that like I'm probably not going to keep is or have in my apartment is my dining room table and chairs, which is small anyways. It's not a big deal. But because I'm going to be in a smaller apartment, I'm also going to like really make an effort to think about all the stuff that's been in storage when I do receive it. Like, do I need this or can I sell it, donate it, or get rid of it? And it's because this theme of 2025 that I really want to adapt is underconsumption. And like I said, I consider myself a pretty minimal person. I do feel like I already underconsume to a degree, but I want to take it to the next level and be much more intentional about actively trying to consume less and be more picky about everything, even pickier than I already am, which I think some of my friends or even my family listening to this might be like, how is that even possible? It is. It is. And so I have 10 things today that I'm going to share that I already do and that I'm going to sort of double down on over the next couple of months in order to underconsume and offset this idea of overconsumption and this act of overconsuming in having so many things. Because in my mind, having less gives you more space for like mental clarity and just curating a really thoughtful environment for your life. So with that, let's get into it. Number one is I don't shop sales. And you might be thinking, how is that real? What I mean by not shopping sales is I don't buy things just because they're on sale. If there is a sale going on, so for example, a Black Friday sale, and there are items that I have already been wanting or items that I already consistently use and will use up, then I'll consider purchasing something that's on sale. But I don't buy something just because I see there is a sale. And the reason why I'm able to avoid this, I think, to a degree is because anytime I do buy something, and when you buy something online, you get subscribed to their email marketing channels and whatnot. And, brands are sending you constant emails. They're bombarding you with emails about flash sales. And if you buy something now, you'll get this money off. I unsubscribe from that immediately. Like the second that I receive the email receipt and the intro welcome to our newsletter, whatever, I immediately unsubscribe because I don't want to be notified about sales. I don't want to have that in my orbit. I don't want the temptation. And so when I say that I don't shop sales, I mean I don't buy things that are on sale just because they're on sale. I would rather buy something that I actually need outside of a sale window because I'm buying it because I want it, not buying something that I don't need just because it's on sale. If you buy something that you weren't already planning to buy, just because it's on sale, you're not saving money, you're spending money. I think there's no point to it. And being really cognizant of your buying behavior when you are notified of a sale is essential here. So all this to say, will I be buying things during Black Friday? I don't think I have anything I need to buy for myself at this point. I will be buying gifts, but if there are things that come up that I am forgetting about in this moment that I see are on sale that I've been wanting or need to stock up on, which I don't really think I need to stock up on anything, then I'll make those purchases. But in a regular humdrum day-to-day kind of sale, I'm not acting on that in most scenarios. Number two is I don't buy things until I'm almost out of it. And this applies to not only just like skincare, makeup, but also like household items and food, and also clothes. Like, unless my clothes are ripped or torn or raggedy, I'm not repurchasing tons and tons of the same kinds of items. When I say like I don't buy things until I'm almost out of it, I mean I'm actually using up the products that I buy, and I'm not buying duplicates of things, because this is something that I've struggled with in the past and that I do see a lot of on social media. It ties back to that idea of like having a whole skincare closet or, a makeup cabinet or whatever. All of my makeup is in one small makeup bag. I wish I had it with me. It's in the bathroom. But like it's literally like a teeny cosmetic bag, and that's all the makeup that I own. I don't have a stockpile of other makeup somewhere else. Same with my skincare. All my skincare that I own is pretty much in one cosmetic bag. I do receive some PR now, but the only PR that I really receive and agree to related to skincare is Paula's Choice, and that's because I am Paula's Choice biggest fan. I love Paula's Choice, and I always want to try out their new products. But when they send me things, they send me like 2 or 3 things at a time. I'm not receiving like a huge box of everything that they've ever made ever. And by focusing on using up the things that I have, I find that I'm, again, much more thoughtful and much more intentional about repurchasing and rebuying things. So skincare makeup is huge, especially because like I don't need to be buying and spending $40, $50 on a skincare item or a makeup item that I'm not using every single day. The other areas of this is like household items and stuff. Like I really do make an effort to use up like Clorox wipes and household like counter spray before I go buy another one. I try to not buy things in bulk anymore from Costco, because I found that all of the cleaning supplies that I was stocking up on at Costco, A, they just take up space in my house, and B, I never fully get through them. Like I remember when I moved into my apartment in March of 2023, I went to Costco and I bought like a big pack of counter spray and Clorox wipes and all of that. And I moved out 3 weeks ago and I hadn't gotten through nearly half of it. I gave a lot of it away to my friends because I'm not going to like move with that kind of stuff. And so I think that was a really great use case of like, I don't need to spend $20 on, 5 containers of Clorox. I can spend $3 on 1 container of Clorox and be perfectly fine for as long as I need. And then the other area, like I mentioned about this, is food. So I do like to keep my pantry and like my food cabinet in my apartments relatively stocked up, but I'm not repurchasing tons and tons of food that I already have, especially pantry items. What I do when I go grocery shopping is I'll inventory what I have before I buy stuff. So again, I'm not buying tons of food in bulk. I'm not repurchasing things that I'm not going to eat through. And it's not necessarily to like save money. It's more to just be less wasteful. So I think if you make an effort to be less wasteful in your day-to-day life, you'll find that you naturally consume less and buy less, because you're not buying duplicates. You're not buying things you already have, which is really my big point here. Moving on to number 3 is when I'm purchasing clothes, I am ultra picky now about material composition. So I would say my like clothing journey has changed a lot over the last couple of years. Like at first I was looking for building out a capsule wardrobe. So I wanted to have basics in my closet, and I wasn't necessarily looking at the material of those basics. So I'd buy them, I'd find like, oh, I'm wearing this and it's starting to get a little bit dingy. And I really did equate price with quality. And I think that's a huge disconnect that we're seeing in just like this online fast fashion world. Just because you buy something that's expensive doesn't mean that that item is really high quality. You have to be looking at the material composition first, because if you don't look at the material composition, you could be paying a premium price for a non-premium piece of clothing, and at that point you might as well just flush your money down the toilet. So now when I'm looking at materials of the clothing that I buy, or really if I pick up a piece of clothing at a store, or if I'm looking at it online, I'm first looking at the material composition before I'm looking at the price tag. And that's because I'm less concerned. I'm obviously paying attention to the price, but I'm less concerned with the price until I know if it's something I'm even going to consider buying. So I'll use the sweater that I'm currently wearing as an example. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see. So this is a 100% wool sweater that I purchased from COS. And I believe this sweater was $135. I'm okay spending $135 on this wool blend sweater, or not wool blend, 100% wool sweater from COS because it's 100% natural material. It looks nice. It's going to wear for a long period of time. And this is a high touch item in my closet. So when I'm thinking about buying high quality clothes and material composition, I'm most concerned with it being 100% natural materials. So cotton, cashmere, wool, linen as an example, particularly on high touch items. So t-shirts, jeans, sweaters, those are the clothes that I'm wearing the most frequently. And so I want them to be of the highest quality. If I'm buying, let's say, like a going out top or something, or, an item in my closet that's supposed to be trendy for that season or for like a year, I'm less concerned with material composition. I'm obviously paying attention to it, but it's okay if it has some synthetic in it, like a polyester, as long as it's a small percentage. My threshold is 30% on those items. But back to this COS sweater, this was $135. So a little bit of a premium price. I'd consider that to be mid-price for a sweater. But this 100% wool sweater at $135 cost less than the equivalent sweater at Sézane. So Sézane is considered to be like a more premium, high quality, but still fairly trendy brand. And a lot of their sweaters have polyester and acrylic and synthetic materials in them. And they're priced at like $170, $180. There's nothing wrong if there's a little bit of acrylic or polyester in it. Again, the threshold should really be no more than like 25 or 30%. But the issue with this is you're paying a premium price, or you're paying almost $200 for a sweater that's not going to wash well and it's not going to wear well over time. So when you're focused on material composition, you're buying nicer items. They may or may not be priced higher. It really depends where you look. And they're going to wear better so long as you take care of them. So like you have to be careful about how you wash and how you dry them. This whole idea of paying attention to material composition has made me not only so picky about my clothing, but it's eliminated, I would say, like 90% of the clothes that I can buy. Because when you look at stores like, and this is no knock to any of these stores, I will still be buying certain things from them. But when you look at a store like Abercrombie, for example, a lot of their clothing is polyester and acrylic blends, especially their sweaters. And the sweaters are $100+. So why would you spend $100 on an acrylic polyester blend when you could spend $130 on an 100% wool sweater that's going to last you forever, where those other sweaters will last you maybe 2 seasons, especially if you're washing them. So it just made me more thoughtful about the clothes that I bring into my space, especially sweaters, especially like tops, like long sleeves and t-shirts, and also jeans. You want your jeans to be 100% cotton. They'll stretch a little, but that's like the highest quality denim is 100% cotton. So yeah, that whole premise of material composition, again, has completely changed the way that I approach buying clothes. And it's eliminated a lot of my impulse purchases, because if I'm looking at the description on the website of what something is made out of and I see those synthetic fibers, I'm just simply not buying it. It's a waste of money to me. Some of my favorite stores for this are COS is definitely my go-to for sweaters. I really like my Jenny Kane sweaters, but I know those are priced out for some people. They are very expensive. I think they're worth it, but they are very expensive. I like J. Crew. Gap has a lot of 100% cotton sweaters, and I also really like Everlane. I just got a really great sweater from Everlane. They did gift it to me. It's 100% wool, and I think it was like $170. I would completely buy it. I have every intention of purchasing a few more sweaters from Everlane, because since I'm moving to Chicago, like I feel like I need some wintry clothes. But yeah, those are some of my favorite stores for high quality, natural material clothing. If you're interested in this topic, let me know, because I can go through like a whole guide on an episode at some point of all of the specifics I look for in more detail. Number 4 is I wait 48 hours before I purchase anything. I'm really trying to implement this going forward, of waiting and creating space before I buy something, especially if I see it on social media, because usually after an hour, even, I've totally moved on and forgotten about it. And I think that's really key with impulse spending is we want to act on an urge, and you can act on an urge in a different way without swiping your card. Something that's helped me with this is I don't save any of my credit card details in my computer or on my phone. So even if I do want to impulse purchase something, I have to go get my credit card, get my wallet. And sometimes the act of having to do that just stops me in my tracks right there because that's kind of annoying. So waiting 48 hours before I buy something is key. And this sort of ties into number 5, which is I keep a running list of things I want. So I call this an impulse list. And basically, anytime I want to buy something, I will add it to this impulse list. It's literally just a note on my phone called impulse list. And it has a whole list of all of the things that I've either been eyeing or have been wanting. And I do it with those little circles. So it's like a checklist. And when I buy something on the list, I go in there and I check it off. But having that impulse list has been so helpful in terms of creating space. When I see something before I buy it, I'll go write it on that list so I can act on the urge, but I'm still not actually buying something. And then I can go back to that list if I feel like I need something, or if I see something again that I want, I'll go cross-check on the list. It's just such a helpful tool for curating a list of things you've been looking for, identifying patterns in your spending habits or in your impulse urges with shopping, because sometimes we feel like an impulse or an urge to buy something and it's all sort of within that same category of things. Like maybe you're finding it's clothes or skincare or makeup. And you can sort of use that information to help change not only how you consume online, but also just your spending behavior overall. And then it's also great for this time of year, for example, during the holidays when you are buying gifts or putting together a list, or people are asking you if there's anything you want for Christmas or the holidays in general. Really helpful to have an impulse list. It helped me put together. This year, my family is doing a little bit of a different Christmas. We're doing a Secret Santa. So I don't know who has me for gifts, but I have a few things that I'm going to send over and that'll be that. And it's just so helpful. So an impulse list and waiting 48 hours before you buy something is absolutely a simple behavior you should implement into your day-to-day. Moving on to number 5 is I regularly track my expenses. So this is not new. If you have been listening to the show, or even if you've found my podcast, you know that I use the personal finance dashboard to track my expenses. And I spend 10 minutes every single week doing this. I actually do it live with a group. It's called my Inner Circle. If you're interested in joining the Inner Circle, it's $10 a month. We meet on Monday afternoons. You can send me a DM on Instagram. I'll send you the link. I don't have that link available publicly anymore because I really only want people who are interested in who are going to show up to join. So if that's something you're interested in learning more about, just send me a message and I'll send you the information. But regularly tracking my expenses has made me so much more significantly aware of the things that I buy. It's also a way to hold yourself accountable to your purchases. So if impulse spending is something that you struggle with and you're finding that the waiting rule or the impulse list isn't working for you, tracking your expenses will solve this problem because it's so unbelievably uncomfortable to look at your credit card statement, see a bunch of purchases and write them down and then see them in the context of your spending and your income. It's a very humbling experience. So if you are not tracking your expenses, let this be your reminder and your sign to start doing so in 2025, because every time I go to buy something, I'm thinking about not only how am I going to feel when I track this, but how does this stack up to the budget that I set for shopping this month? And is it going to push me over? And if it is, I'm not buying it because I'm thinking about my broader financial picture within those purchases because I'm tracking all of my numbers. Tracking your numbers will change your life. Selfless and shameless plug here. If you are interested in getting started with that, check out the personal finance dashboard while it's on sale. Again, you can use the code BFSale2024 until the end of November. But if you're listening to this outside of that window, you can also use the code podcast1. That code doesn't expire. Moving on this is number 7. Yeah, number 7. This is ensuring I always return things. So something that I learned in college from just being around my friends is a lot of people will buy things online and then they'll never, even if they don't like it, they won't return it because returning things is kind of a pain in the ass. And I am someone who will never, ever, 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 ever forget to return something. I don't care if I have to go to Staples and pay to get the return label printed. I don't care if I have to go to UPS, USPS, FedEx. I don't care. I am always 110% without fail packing something up and returning it or driving to the mall to return it if I don't like it. And my threshold for this, especially with clothes, because this is really like the only kinds of things I'd be returning is clothes. If I put something on my body and I immediately am not like, oh my God, I cannot wait to wear this. I love the way that this fits me. I love the way that this looks on me. I love the way that I feel in it. If I don't feel that way immediately, I'm returning it. Because if you hang on to clothes that you're feeling just like, oh, like if I wear it this way or if I style it this way, I can make it work. Or, oh, this looks fine. Like I'll wear it in certain scenarios. You'll never actually wear it. And there are so many things that I've kept because I've been like, oh, like I could style it this way or it would look good if I did this or whatever. And I just never reach for those clothes. I'm always reaching for the things that I am obsessed with, right? So why am I hanging on to clothes that I'm not obsessed with? So that's my new rule is if I don't absolutely love it, I have to be over the moon about it. It goes back because otherwise it's wasted money. It's money that's hanging in my closet that I could have used on a different item that I actually love. So I'm ruthless about things that I keep, but I'm ruthless about making sure that I return things. I don't care if it's inconvenient. I'll go out of my way to return it. And I also don't care if I have to pay like a $5 processing fee. I'd rather pay the processing fee and get most of my money back than not pay a processing fee and not get any of my money back. So food for thought. Moving on to number 8. I do quarterly purges of everything in my home. So obviously right now I'm not in my own apartment, but I did get home yesterday and the first thing I did, because I know that there's someone out there who can relate to this, but like if you have a room at your parents' house, it's likely that you have old clothes or childhood clothes or just like things there because you have a closet and storage for that. So I actually lived here during COVID. And because I lived here during COVID, I had all of my clothes were here. And when I moved to LA, I brought some of my clothes, but not all of them. And since being in LA, my wardrobe has changed. I've curated a new closet, all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of the clothes that I had here are just clothes that are from pre-COVID. So they're a little bit dated, different style, different phase of my life. I was also significantly younger in my like early 20s before COVID. So they're just clothes that I'm not going to wear. That doesn't mean that they're no good. They're all clothes that needed to be donated. So like I got home yesterday and I spent 3 hours purging everything in my closet. Because right now I'm living out of a suitcase, which is like all of my most worn clothes. And I figure if it's not something that is in my closet or that was in my closet in LA and is now in storage, and it's also not something that I packed with me, it's probably not clothes that I need to wear or will ever wear. So I went through my closet and I purged, I would say like 98% of the clothes that were in there. They're all going to donations tomorrow. I'm really excited about it. And it just felt so good. So getting rid of clothes and regularly purging your closet and purging your drawers, like look in your nightstand drawers, look in the drawers in your dresser, and getting rid of things, again, either throwing them out if they're old and dingy, donating them, or reselling things that are of nicer quality that you can get money back on, is such an important practice. I feel like people only do this once a year, but doing it regularly, it's eye-opening how much stuff is in your closet that you don't use or don't wear, and how much stuff is in your drawers that is just sitting there collecting dust. There is no point in keeping it. I have like one box of little childhood treasures and things that I know I don't want to get rid of, but like they don't necessarily have a place in my room, and that's it. And I'm super, super, super picky about the things that I put in there because I don't want to have a lot of stuff. Like I really, really, really don't want to have a lot of stuff. Moving on to number 8 is I reduce exposure to temptation for things. So I touched on this a little bit in the first one, but because I don't shop sales, like I am so ruthless about unsubscribing to emails, and I like completely block emails or block stores from emailing me, especially if I know I'm not going to buy from there again. So I don't get emails about sales. I am really picky about the influencers that I follow because I want to follow influencers for like style inspo, and I'm not opposed to links. I myself post links. I'm going to be posting links going forward in 2025. I mentioned I hired someone to help me with some of that affiliate stuff. But I'm not following influencers who are sharing links and posting lists and all that kind of stuff for things that they don't use or don't already have, that's something that a lot of people do is they'll like curate Amazon lists and they'll generate links and stuff for things that they're not wearing or don't have, which I just don't understand that. Like I understand, people want to make money, whatever, but I just don't like that narrative. And immediately when I see an influencer do that, I'm unfollowing because it's not only is it not genuine, but it's also like pushing this consumeristic idea. And I just don't subscribe to that. So, I have a few influencers who I really like and I follow them for style inspo and I do use their links because I want them to earn, especially if I'm turning to them for inspiration on the clothes that I wear. But I will say if I see an influencer posting too many links, like I'm unfollowing, especially the killer is really like if they're posting links for things that I know they don't have, especially Amazon lists. Like I really don't like Amazon clothes. I think there are certain things on there you can find, but objectively, they're just low quality clothes. You're supporting a business that like obviously is not ethical. I still shop on Amazon and not all of my clothes are ethical, but I really try to only buy things on Amazon that I feel like you can only get on Amazon or it's like an urgent home need or something. But I don't buy clothes on Amazon. I think it's weird. That's no offense if you do buy them on Amazon. It's just not for me. So I don't follow Amazon influencers. I'm purging my influencer list regularly and I am unsubscribing from emails like shopping emails and stuff, immediately blocking if you unsubscribe and they still email you. Number 10 is I have hobbies. So hobbies is another area. I do have a bunch of podcasts about all of my hobbies, but hobbies is another area that I've noticed is gaining a lot of traction, especially online, and I think for good reason. Having hobbies makes you interesting, but it also keeps you busy. So a big reason why I have started to implement hobbies is A, because like I spend a lot of time by myself, but B, because I don't want my personality to be shopping. I don't want to spend my Sunday afternoons going to Home Goods and seeing what speaks to me. Going to Target is not a hobby, and doing those kinds of things is all it's doing is making you spend money that you don't have to buy things that you do not need. Like you don't need to do that. You don't need to be buying that kind of stuff on a regular basis. So I have been really holding myself accountable and disciplined about developing hobbies. So, I take tennis lessons, I go to Pilates classes, I go on walks, I read every day. I just started Throne of Glass, so I'm really excited about that. And, I crochet, like I cook, I do things, and I fill my time with activities that are not scrolling on social media and shopping. I go through phases where I would say doom scroll more than others. Like the last couple of weeks, being out of my routine, I've spent a lot more time on TikTok than I want to, but I'm not using TikTok as a vehicle to buy things. Same with Instagram. Like I'm really thoughtful about making sure that I'm filling my time with things that add value to my life and not just buying stuff. So if you have an online shopping problem or you find that you spend a lot of your weekend time going to stores, running errands that are not necessary, then it might be time to find a hobby. I think you should start reading. I personally am of the camp that I think if you don't read, you are missing out on a huge part of life. Reading and being serious about reading this year has like totally changed my life. I don't think I've talked about that a lot on here, but like I read every single night before I go to bed on my Kindle. I'm obsessed with reading. And I didn't realize like how big of a world there is in the book world. And like, I like reading more than I like watching TV. So I never thought I'd be the kind of person who says stuff like that, but here I am. Anyways, those are the 10 things that I do that help me underconsume. I do have a big emphasis on this going into 2025. I'm going to be making more short form content around underconsumption and all of these tips as well. So if there's anything that you do that I didn't talk about in this episode that you feel could add to this conversation, please send me a DM. I would absolutely love to hear it, or leave a comment on YouTube because this video will be up on YouTube. And with that, I will catch you in the next episode. Thanks for listening.